Welcome to the Badlands. Just wanted to show you a little law in geology called the law of superposition. It's a real simple concept. You can kind of see it in these rocks and the rocks around it. The law of superposition, it's almost common sense. It just basically says that new sedimentary layers will form on top of older sedimentary layers. So when you have the old layer on the bottom, a new layer forms on top of that, new layer on top of that, and so on. So when you're taking a look at the rocks on the bottom layers are older than the rocks on the top layers. And that's the law of superposition. And you can see the layering in these rocks. And the key thing to remember is that's as long as those layers haven't been shifted in any way. It could be possible that layers may get completely flipped over or tilted sideways or faulted, but as long as those layers are just flat layers forming on top of one another, then we know that the oldest layer is on the bottom. Again, it's pretty much common sense, but it is a law of geology, the law of superposition. Now it is possible, remember, for layers to get completely flipped upside down, and then that law wouldn't work then, but we would have to see evidence of where that flipping occurred in order to know that. But in normal sedimentary layers, the layer on the bottom is the oldest layer, and the layer on the top is the youngest layer. And you can determine the ages by what layer sits on top of the other layer. And that's the law of superposition. Remember, the law of superposition says that the oldest layers are found at the bottom. So if we're taking a look, the oldest layers are down here, and then the younger layers are up top. That's what the law of superposition says. Now, if you're a uniformitarianist, you have a little disagreement with the catastrophist as to when the layers formed. A uniformitarianist would say that the layers at the bottom are millions and maybe even billions of years older than the layers up here at the top. If you're a catastrophist, you may believe that those layers formed seconds, minutes, days, weeks, maybe even years after one another. But you don't believe that this layer at the bottom formed a billion years before this layer at the top if you're a catastrophist. And we have seen evidence that these things do occur either way. At Mount St. Helens we saw many layers, over 25 feet in layered sediment formed in just a small amount of time. And we can take a look at the rivers and we see sediment being deposited, and that forms very slowly. So there's visual evidence for either one. It's mostly a matter of belief.